Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Justin Young. He's Josh Tech. It's Monday morning. It's time to run through the weekend. And Josh, once again, it's kind of becoming Groundhog Day around these parts here at Hoopsie and HQ with Monday's post-event weekend. We're a little tired, but that means we've been working hard, seeing a lot of basketball games. How you doing, man? How you feeling?
I'm always tired. I'm not tired just during the spring because this is not just a spring thing for some of us. It's a spring, summer, winter, fall. Every year there's an event or every time of year there's an event going on somewhere on the weekend, and I try and be at as many of them as possible. So I'm used to it. I'm used to these Monday mornings where my brain doesn't function really. I sleep in. I try and get some work done in the morning, and it really doesn't work out for me. So I have to wait till afternoon until I actually wake up and kind of recover a little bit. My feet hurt, all of that.
All the things. Man, you sound like an 80-year-old man. You're supposed to be
well, that's what AAU basketball will make you feel like as an 80-year-old man.
Definitely age, for sure.
Everything. Sitting in bleachers all hunched over.
We had a fun weekend. We did for Hoopsie in general. We had over 400 teams, over 40 courts, 2 different cities. Obviously, the Atlanta Jam going on, the legendary Sewanee Sports Academy, and of course on Hoopsie and W side, the Deep South Classic in partnership with All Star Girls Report at the Raleigh Convention Center. Pretty cool, man. It's the first time in our 12-year history that we had 2 live periods for both boys and girls. It's pretty neat, man. Pretty neat. So it was pretty satisfying to watch that.
It's coming off the back of a weekend where we also had 2 events in 2 different cities, Bama Jam and Carolina Jam.
3 events, really, technically speaking.
Oh yeah, well. Yeah, I was talking about just like the 2 different cities, and because one of them was under the same
mountain and all that. So, we're going to do it again this weekend as we're in Raleigh, and we've got a Georgia Cup at Sewanee Sports Academy again. So it's kind of a broken record. It's funny when I'm building out my calendar for the year. My April has there's no white space on my April calendar, and I thought if we get through April, we're going to be okay. So we're in the home stretch. We got 1 more week of this month, and the NBA playoffs are going on. So, I'm a little dialed in there too. So a lot happening, a lot going on, but we want to get into the Atlanta Jam. We want to talk about what you saw there at the legendary Sewanee Sports Academy. We saw a lot. And, the Atlanta Jam is always an interesting one. The first live period of April, especially now since the pandemic, is really kind of an interesting time. It's also, to me, where the narratives are really kind of start to get the ink, right? And the ink is still a little wet on the paper. We're starting to see some players for the first time. And it's kind of an interesting place to see what the rest of the calendar year, because June's so important now with recruiting. Of course, July is as important as it's ever been. And it all starts, I think, with this particular weekend with the live period. And so I kind of want to go through some stuff. And as we were talking offline before we got started, we talked about, okay, let's talk about, kind of like your top performers, your big takeaways. I'll give some available senior shout outs. Some surprises and some other talking points. But, you started right out of the gate with a guy that we know really, really well at Hoopsie, and that's Blake Wilson from ATL Pivot. And Blake, to give some context, and I don't want to steal your shine here, but it's amazing. He's the son of Byron Wilson, who was the head coach at Decula. But Byron, as we got started at Hoopsie 12 years ago, Byron was part of it, and Blake literally was like a little grasshopper that started with us, and now here he is shining on the stage that he came to when he was a kid. So the 16, 17-year-old version of Blake Wilson you saw, what did you see and what did you like about him?
Well, it started at tip-off, I believe.
Right.
To get it for me. I believe it started at tip-off when you kind of first noticed how different he looks physically now. He's kind of he's added to his frame. He already had a good, foundational frame, long arms, kind of taller, 6'7", 6'5", 6'6" range. But now he's added physicality to that. And I think with that came some more confidence, because he's playing as good as I've ever seen him play. He's playing better than I've ever seen him play before. And like you said, we've seen him, coming through for a while now. Just physically, he's assertive around the basket, assertive in the paint, good rebounder, does all that stuff. But now he's kind of stepping out. He's hitting 3-pointers. He's doing this. He's doing that. He's doing a little bit of everything now. When I saw him on Friday, he had 20 points, 22 points, something like that. And then on Sunday, he closed with a 27-point game, and he was just consistently the leading scorer on that team throughout. He was rebounding, did everything. So I think right now we're kind of seeing the ascent of Blake Wilson. I think he's going to get some by the time July hits, he should have some offers coming his way.
Yeah, it's funny. I saw his dad put something on Instagram, talking about his sons. I guess his oldest son is either a boxer or MMA. I really couldn't quite tell. Large because I was so tired. I wasn't really focused on looking at the photo close enough. But he had a belt of some sort, which meant he won some sort of a combat competition, which is pretty cool. And of course, obviously with Blake. But I've always thought about this. There's a lot of boys in their family, and I think families that younger brothers are always going to be really successful because they've had older brothers that have pushed them, and obviously with the dad that's a coach and he grew up in the gym. I'm always fascinated to see guys that come out of that sort of upbringing and how it kind of their trajectory moves forward. So certainly a guy to keep our eyes on moving forward, no question about it. Looking forward to seeing him at Bob Gibbons, of course, and then Best of South in July, to your point, to see kind of how the story plays out. So certainly a really good name and a good player from the weekend at the Atlanta Jam. Let's keep it moving down the road. Looking at the Hoopsing Association, one of our staples, one of our pioneer programs of not just Hoopsing Association, but just our brand in general, Marcus McGee's program, the Florida Pro iteration of his program now is year in and year out, that they're going to have some players, and you had a chance to pull up and see those red, white, and blue jerseys that we've come to know and appreciate so well. What did you like from Marcus's team this year?
I think, well, first of all, I just like their balance. I mean, they have guys, different guys going to step up every weekend. I don't think we're going to have, one Florida Pro guy per weekend. Like, when they had the Thompson twins, we could just go ahead and pencil it in. We could write the Thompson twins story before it even started. They're
and Taylor Hendricks, which
I was gonna get there.
Okay. Sorry.
But no, you're right. But then now it's kind of like straight up. I don't know who's going to be their best player per game, but I know that they're going to have somebody that's going to shine in every game. And this weekend, you were asking me like, all right, who are some of the standouts? I was like, well, let's just talk about Florida Pro in general, because you had Stone Bureau, you had Enrico Borio, you had Marvin Golf, you had Jeremy Eliza, you had just different guys step up on a game by game basis. I think the guy that did it most consistently was probably Stone Bureau, the guard. He's been kind of building up his resume in front of me, whether it be at our events last year when he was playing up in the 17U division, or at Hoop Exchange events in the fall and the spring. Shout out to the Hoop Exchange guys. Or this year, now Stone Bureau is kind of the guy on the leading point guard on this really good Florida Pro team, and he does a little bit of everything, man. He's a smaller guard, but this dude blocks a ton of shots. Like, he gets up there and blocks shots and rebounds and does all that stuff. He throws down dunks and all that stuff. He's a great shot creator. I think on Saturday it was, at some point in time, we had our group chat popping off, and our guy Makai McKinney and Matt Lasco kept texting us being like, yo, this kid for Florida Pro is really going off right now. He had 22 points in that game, and he ended everything with another solid game on Sunday. And on Sunday, sorry, I had to take a breath there. On Sunday, Enrico Borio was the guy that impressed me. 6'8" wing. He's a really skilled guy, but on Sunday he was just put on a dunk show. He was just living above the rim and just kind of hammering home dunks on court 6 at Sewanee Sports Academy.
I love it. Shout out Makai McKinney, by the way, one of our new guys.
Oh, he's best.
Team. Played at our stuff, and now he's up at Toccoa Falls College.
He connection to this episode. He played for Chad Hickson, who coaches ATL Pivot, who Blake Wilson plays for.
I love it. It's all ancestral sometimes in basketball, man. It always reconnects somewhere along the way. A team that I think, as we kind of keep it moving here in Florida Pro, again, you're going to want to see those guys this week in Louisville.
They're going to have guys. They're going to have, especially if you're a college coach, make sure to prioritize them in July. They're going to have guys that are going to end up being sleepers. They always do. They always have guys who, maybe didn't have like a pop in recruitment by the time they are, finishing up their high school seasons, their senior seasons of high school. They end up going to a D1. I think of a guy like Corey Cotton. He ended up going to he signed with VMI, I believe. So he's a guy that kind of went under the radar a little bit, and then now he's at the Division I level. So I think you can get a steal from this Florida Pro program.
Yeah, totally agree with you there. Well, I think you can also get it from our next program, 101 Elite. We saw them last week in Raleigh. They're a Hoopsing Association team. They came to Atlanta. They're deep. I mean, I feel like this year's team, both of their teams, they're 17 and 16. 16s are playing up. I feel like they're from top to bottom deeper than they were last year as far as overall prospect. Was there one or two guys in their roster this year at the Atlanta Jam that you thought, oh, okay, I need to make sure that we talk about this guy a little bit more?
Yeah, between both programs, there's probably 10 guys. Honestly, they have dudes up and down the roster, up and down both teams that play up in the 17U division. But the guy for me was Sebastian Aiken, 6'2" point guard. He really impressed initially as a distributor. He was throwing lobs to all those wings, all those athletes that one elite has. Sebastian Aikens was leading the charge and throwing lobs and making sure they filled up the highlight reels. But then he was also getting into the paint, was, shifty. He's got a bunch of shifty moves. He's quick. He can get into the paint pretty much at will. And then he was dishing out to shooters, or he was getting all the way back up to the basket and finishing. So I was really impressed with him. I think he's going to end up having a pretty healthy list of Division I offers by the time the summer hits or the summer ends.
It's funny, like, we obviously, if you followed us at all this year, we're really up to our video coverage, and I felt like every video clip that I'd get from our video team was somebody from 101 Elite just doing something nasty at the rim and really attacking the rim. So fun team to watch. Great action up and down the floor. Certainly somebody that you're going to want to see.
They had college coaches on hand watching. I think that group's going to keep building as coaches get out more and more. That is a must-see team for Division I, all kinds of levels of Division I program.
Well, you mentioned college coaches. Let's talk about some seniors, right? I don't think there's any surprise that we're going to see a lot more unsigned seniors playing in the spring moving forward, just the way the recruiting calendar is working, the way that recruiting in general is working now with the portal. I think there's more players that are available, more players trying to figure out where they're trying to go. Let's highlight and talk about some seniors that you saw. Give me a handful of guys that were available 2023 players that really stood out to you.
Okay. Another program from Florida that we've kind of really come to know as being consistent year after year. They always have some kind of dudes is Ball for Life. And this year they have more dudes. And one of the guys is an unsigned senior, Ryan Weiss. He's really great shot maker. It's maybe like 6'4", 6'5" guard. He can really hit shots from all kinds of levels. And various shots too. He can hit it off the dribble. He can hit off movement coming off screens. He can hit off the catch and all kinds of stuff. He can create his own shot. He can create shots for others. He really impressed on Friday and continued to impress others throughout the weekend as well. So I think he's an unsigned senior that a lot of guys need to get eyes on. Pete Moe for TSF National. He, physical forward, really dominated the glass, really dominated around the basket. He impressed Justin Byerly first, and then I got to watch him on Sunday, and he impressed me as well. He kind of backed up what JB saw. So I think Pete Moe and Ryan Weiss are two unsigned seniors that people should definitely get eyes on.
Well, I want to talk about the league too, out of Texas, out of Austin, Texas. They came out there they've had a great spring.
That's the team that you put me on to.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Listen, I always say this all the time. You want to go be seen. If ultimately, if you're out there chirping about, we don't get enough coverage, we don't get enough people come out, go win. If you just go win, it's so hard to ignore that. We're gonna go see you eventually, right? Like just that's just the way it works. The funnel works.
Yeah, be patient sometimes. There's a lot of teams out there. We'll get to you.
Yeah, we'll get to you. We'll get to you for sure. But the league certainly had a guy in
JD Bradford.
JD Bradford. Thanks. That's what happens when you forget, a lot of things. But JD Bradford, I felt like was a guy across, no matter who was on our staff, like, there's this dude on the league that can really go. JD Bradford. What did you see from him? What did you like about his game?
I saw him on. Sorry, the days are running together. Friday? I saw him on Friday. Yes, he was maybe the first game I even saw of the whole weekend. He was really smooth scorer, led them with 15 points, and just did a little bit of everything for them. I think just the way how smooth he was on the floor was kind of what shined to me. And he impressed GT, Garrett Tucker. He impressed JB, Justin Byerly. Like you said, everybody on our staff that watched him walk away being like, all right, that guy's pretty good. So I think he's an unsigned senior with the league out of Austin, Texas. I believe JD Bradford from Arizona originally. He's a guy that coaches need to get out and see during live periods, whether it be this coming weekend or June or July. Whenever you get out there, make sure you write down JD Bradford with the league. Yeah,
and if you're a junior college coach too, I would take a good look there too as well. I think he could be a guy. Let's give some shout outs. And you mentioned Justin and Garrett. So we're going to try to do some more pods with them. I mean, the beauty of the depth of the Atlanta Jam is that we all saw different guys and have different points of view. So we're going to try to get those together.
Yeah, I thought that was a really fun part of the weekend is when on Sunday afternoon when we kind of had a meeting of the three minds. We each kind of had guys that we saw that the others may not have seen, or guys that we liked a little bit more. It was just kind of, we each had our guys, and I really, really liked the depth, and I really liked the variety of player that we are getting this season in the Hoopsing platform.
Yeah, and right, and that's, I think, supports the thought. Like, we're gonna have a lot of coverage, as we always do, on Hoopsing.com. A lot of written content, tons of social content, but we're also going to different points of view. So if we didn't mention you here, be patient with us. We have a lot more voices that we want to add to this. But let's give some shout outs, Josh, some other players, some anecdotes that you had from the weekend.
All right, let's go with the 4-0 Chip Smith's Tennessee Tigers. They always win. They always win. And my guy Parker Robeson had a really good weekend. Point guard from I believe McCallie School up there in Tennessee. he had a really good weekend for them. Another guy impressed me, impressed Garrett, impressed JB. He was really impressive for them last year on the 16U team that really started to round into form late. And now that team's kind of carrying that momentum over into this season. And they're playing really well. They went 4-0, like I said. Parker Robeson is just a smart, high IQ point guard. He can hit shots. He can really run a team. He just knows the game so well. He's a guy that really impressed everybody this weekend. And, he's going to have big things to come this summer as well.
McCauley School was trending, by the way, it sounds like, out of Chattanooga.
Yeah, they always have guys. I mean, it seems like they always have guys. Kenneth Chime is another guy to Chattanooga that really impressed. What I love about what Kenneth Chime did is I took a step back and he impressed everybody else at Hoop Scene. I had seen him at Georgia Cup 1. I had seen him at other events. I had seen him at Georgia Cup 2. He's playing with Play with Heart on our Georgia Cup series so far this season. And he impressed then as, big 6'7" motor man around the basket, athletic guy. He's going to get every rebound. He's going to play defense. He's going to dunk everything around the rim. And what I really loved about this weekend is Garrett got to see him for the first time. Justin got to see him for the first time. Other guys got to see him for the first time. And I remember the group chat kind of popping off, being like, "Oh, Kenneth Chime's doing this." And me and Mekhi McKinney, who's also been at these Georgia Cups with me, were like, "Oh, this guy's a Georgia Cup legend this year. He's been crushing it. Go check out the site. We got all kinds of stuff on him already from this season." So I was really happy to see that he thrived on the bigger stage with more eyeballs on him, right? So that was really impressive.
I love it. McCauley School, by the way, in Chattanooga, if we have a list of, we've talked about doing this story before, the most unique gyms in high school basketball, McCauley's got to be it. It's a second floor gym, so you've got to go upstairs. I used to go up there every year for the Dr. Pepper Classic, which my friend John Schulman, now the head coach at University of Alabama Huntsville, was at McCauley School. He was the head coach at Chattanooga for a long time, went to McCauley School, coached there. I think his sons maybe played for him there at McCauley. But it's an upstairs gym. And on the far baseline, I saw Keldon Johnson absolutely put on a show there one year. It was phenomenal. But if the ball goes over the rails, it falls down to like the floor below, and the ball disappears. Awesome. It's like out of play. So you got to get a new ball. It's actually an amazing place to go watch a game. So I'd imagine Kenneth Chime probably has some block shots that ended up on the first floor there at the McCauley School. So one of my favorite.
That's pretty cool. I want to go there now. It's pretty. I would have gone eventually at some point, I'm sure, but I didn't really realize that they had such a unique place. And if you have a weird kind of unique gym out there, let me know. I'll go. Like, I just like seeing oddities and stuff like that.
We want to take coffee table book mentality into reality for where we're going to go. Any other shout outs? Anybody else you want to kind of talk about briefly? I know I kind of got off subject there.
Oh, no. It's all good. Bad Boys Basketball, one of our favorite teams from the end of last summer. Both you and I really liked watching them with our guy. They had a really good season at the end of last year. They started around in the form at Best of the South, carried that over to Virginia Beach. This year, they've got another guy in Matthew Kurpru Elsie. Sorry, there's kind of a mouthful of the last name there, and I had to make sure I had it right. But he kind of fits that program so perfectly. He's tough. He's gritty. He's relentless. He's always in attack mode at the basket. He's kind of an in-betweener with his size, but that makes him more versatile. He can play big. He can play, out on the perimeter. He does a little bit of everything. He's always looking to attack the basket, which is exactly what we saw out of this team last year. And that's kind of what made you and I really like them. And it's another tough, hard-nosed, gritty team. And I'm really looking forward to seeing more out of Bad Boys Basketball. Hype Hawks, our guys Hype Hawks went 3-1 on the weekend. Jacob Bryant, he had a really good weekend. He was one of their leading scorers as a point guard. He's a guy, he's had a really kind of building block season in Alpharetta, and he's carried that over to this travel season, and he's playing really well for Hype Hawks. And then ISO Joe 15U, man, I got to really get eyes on them this weekend in Louisville. I didn't really get a chance to get into the 15U division that much, but this team looks really impressive, both from like an all-airport team. They got 6'8" guys. They got long guys. They got all kinds of prospects. They're going to blossom into more prominent names as their careers go forward. But they had a really good weekend and took care of business, went undefeated, and they have written themselves onto my schedule for Louisville.
I love it. I love it. You have to be organized going into Louisville just because of the logistics of that event with so many courts and so many games, so many balls bouncing, so many whistles. It's a lot. So I think that schedule will drop at the latest, I think, Wednesday. So I know a lot of people are already asking when's the schedule coming out. So
I'm building my personal schedule out for that. So I'll be bouncing around, getting in that big gym.
If you're watching this on Twitter, we appreciate you doing that. Hit that retweet button for us if you can. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel while you're at it. Certainly a lot more stuff coming on. Go over to hoopscene.com. A lot of coverage. Again, Monday through Friday coverage is coming all week long from the Atlanta Jam. A lot to do. I mean, Matt Lasco probably, if we're still in the film era, he would have ran out of film taking photos. We got tons of videos coming as well. So a lot of action at all of the platforms that we have on Hoop Scene from the Atlanta Jam. Josh, this is good stuff. Like I said, we've been trying to get Justin Byerly and Garrett Tucker on here as well to talk about what they saw this week right here on Hoop Scene TV. Josh, this is good stuff, man. Always appreciate you.